And there we go. Share the screen. Okay, so I will open up now InDesign here on the Windows computer without any Helvetica. What a loss. But the good news is that if you have the Adobe subscription, then you can go to the Adobe website and get like hundreds of different kinds of typefaces from there. Also, of course, you can download typefaces and fonts from Google. Okay, so I will go to the presets and search for the A4. And first of all, I'll change the units from picas into millimeters. And then I should have the A4 over in the print presets. And as you can see, there are some 60 templates, and from the Adobe website, you can download more. And of course, if you're using Canva, then you'll have like thousands of templates. A4, and now I have to see, and why is it again in picas? I don't know, but I'll set it again in millimeters. That the orientation should be a portrait. And then I want to have more than one page, yes. So let's say that we have that we're doing or starting the task that I gave you. So I'll have 5 pages, and I'll get rid of the first page once I'm there. You'll see why. Okay, I don't need a primary text frame, but if, for instance, you have a book with like 300 pages or so, and you know that you need a text frame for everything there, then you might want to have a text frame there already. That's what the primary text frame means. I won't be setting any columns yet because I want to use the grid modular grid layout, and I'll make my columns in the grid. But yes, I do want margins. And usually it's a good advice to have the bottom margin be bigger than the top margin. And I think these 12.7 millimeters is somehow from the inch system. So I don't need these weird kinds of measurements. Let's have 30 millimeters. Oh yeah, and I took the lock away from these settings, so that I can change them as I want to. And now it should be open. Yeah, so 13 on the top and a little bit more in the bottom because it's optically nicer. So in other words, it looks better, and when we have more space down there. So how much should it be? So again, there are no steadfast rules here. I'll try it out with 17 millimeters and see where that takes me. And in the inside, usually inside is a little bit smaller than the outside, again because of the mouse problem from the medieval times, which we don't have anymore, but let's put inside 13 and outside 17. Like, let's see how that works out. If I'm not happy with how it looks, then I can always change them in the document. Then what's the bleed? So If we have print documents, then we need to have a bleed, which I think I explained 2 weeks ago, but yeah, you remember that that's for the printing press machines. So you have to have a little bit of overlap. So I'll set the bleed to 3 millimeters. I don't need a slug area, just the bleed. And I guess I could preview it, but I'll rather create it right away. Too busy now to have a preview. And there we go. And as I said, this is quite an easy program to learn, at least for the basics. And what I usually use here is the workspace that's called typography. Here. Also, if you have the Essentials Classic, I think that's also okay-ish. I don't like to have the CC libraries because well, right now it's not even finding it. So yeah, there's also a book and advanced. Let's see what the advanced looks like. Also not bad. So what you want is to have like enough tabs here or windows. You need at least the character, the paragraph, and the character styles and the paragraph styles, and of course the pages. Those are the important things. Also links are what I use quite a lot, and the swatches. Yeah, I think I'll go back to the typography. Okay, so usually I set the windows so that paragraph and paragraph styles are in the same place, and so are character and character styles. And all of these windows are like, you can move them anywhere you want. And now that I have created 5 pages, I can see them here. And you can see that the first page has become like this cover page, because this program, and yes, in the beginning, in the settings, I also said that I wanted to have spreads. So I could have like individual pages, but usually in publishing, you think things over the spreads. And that's how your assignment is too, so that you're supposed to put it on either to 1 spread or 2 spreads, but not on 3 pages, for instance. So for this task, I could just remove this page, like throw it in the wastebasket, like this. But then this problem appears, so I won't remove it, but I will just start over this page. Then what you can also see is this weird A over there, and it says A parent here. It used to be called master page. So if you have an older version, then, by the way, you have, I think in this classroom, InDesign is 2021. Does it say A master or A parent? Okay, so they changed it in 22. I think they had some like complaints about the language, that it doesn't sound very nice. Okay, so A parent is synonym to the A master. So the parent or master pages are things where you put stuff that you want to appear everywhere. Those would be like page numbers, or if you have like some other elements. Also, okay, I'll just show you how it works. So because this is like an important part of InDesign, like maybe the most important part to understand. That's why I want to show it first. So these are like the regular pages. But if I double click here on where it says a parent or a master on this, then I am not on any of these. And let's create something here. I'll create just a, like here's a rectangle tool, and under the rectangle tool, there's also the ellipse and polygon tool. So far, so good. So I'll create this haphazard rectangle and give it maybe some color. Okay, there's my color settings, fill. So now it will give me only the colors that I have created, and then it will give me the like basic print colors, cyan, magenta, yellow, and so on. So let's make a yellow rectangle without any outline. And now you can see that the yellow rectangle appears everywhere on these other pages. But if I double click here on one of these pages, I cannot do anything to edit this yellow rectangle because it's on the master page or on the parent page. So the only way to do anything about the yellow rectangle is to go back to the parent page and move it elsewhere or get rid of it. So that's how these pages work. And it's fine actually then, because often you want to have elements that are there all the time. This could be a great abstract element on my page. Or I could put it all through the page and then work with it. Looks like fun. Also, I'm putting it over the edges of the bleed so it won't look stupid when it's printed. Yeah, so this could be like my guiding principle, that every page has this yellow thingy. Why not? I mean, you're the designer, you have the power to think about the graphic elements on your pages. I mean, unless you're doing a job for a magazine that already has like a set grid layout, but then even there's a lot of freedom for individual designers of how they actually put the elements on the page in an article. Okay. So now you know how the parent pages work. And by the way, if I don't want to have this yellow thingy everywhere, then I can just, for instance, click on this first page and then right click and say that I don't want to have this parent or master page. So, or I could just say that I wanted to apply just to the pages this and this, apply parent to pages. Or I could just, there's the none applied, so I can just drag the none here to page 1, and now this page doesn't have a parent at all. And I can make as many parent or master pages as I want. Again, by right-clicking, new parent, and now the prefix here is B. So I could say, let's say I want to copy this one and make it a different color and have that in the B parent. Okay, do you have problems with InDesign? Do you need me?
I couldn't tell the first page to not to have a master page rule.
Okay, so here I dragged the none into the first page, and then it didn't follow the parent page anymore.
I should be able to grab the none and then drag it.
Yep.
To the page. Okay,
Yeah, I'm now making another parent with some other changes, and let's see how that goes. So I'll change the color here.
What's the bleed at the bottom? Was it 17?
3 millimeters.
Okay, so top and bottom, all 3.
Everything 3 millimeters for bleed. Sometimes some use 5, but 3 is, I think, most popular. So now I have a second parent with a red rectangle. So I want to have pages 4 to 5 to follow that parent. So I can just again drag this to here. So now some of my pages follow the A parent and some of them follow the B parent. Or if I have like dozens of pages, then I can just pick here, right click and say apply parent to pages, and then put the page numbers over here. And I can use commas and so on. For instance, page 45, comma, page like 4 to 5, comma, and then 7 to 8. So that would make like every second spread applied to this parent. Okay, questions about the parents or master pages or problems? Okay, yours doesn't work. I'll come see. By the way, I didn't check the audio here on this computer. Can somebody on Zoom say something?
Hello.
Okay, I can hear you. Great. So if you have problems over there, then just shout out. I cannot see the chat while I'm using this. Okay, for some, and I'll put the sound into 100%, and I'll come see what's wrong with your master pages. Okay, so a thing that I may have not said clearly enough. If you want to go to the parent pages, you have to double click. Also, if you want to go away from the parent pages to the actual pages, again, a double click. So just a click, a one click doesn't do it. You have to double click. And that's one of the areas that I made when I first learned to use this program. And I should have warned you about it. But I'm trying to find a mouse here that I could use. Here, mouse. Mousy, where are you? Okay. Couldn't find his tail. Okay. Get on without a mouse. Okay, so any questions from the Zoom people?
Not for now, no.
Okay. Okay, so that's how the parent pages work, and I think I'll just go and define these two pages also for the A parent. And I'll get rid of the B parent completely by just clicking delete parents, spread B parent. And now I have one blank parent page and one A parent. And I don't think I need this rectangle. It was just there to show you what happens. And now I'm in the A parent, by the way. And what I'm going to do is to create my grid system, the modular grid that I was talking about earlier. So I'll delete this thing. And let's go to layout. And there's margins and columns, and then there's ruler guides and create guides. So it's quite important that you have the rulers here that are shown, and margins and columns, and and there's the create guides. So any of these can be used for making the modular grid. I usually use this create guides option because it's so easy. And also there's a nice preview. And yeah, so be aware that I'm now in the A parent. And by the way, the mistake I made here, or almost made, was that I did not select both of these pages. So now they are both selected, and the guides that I make, or the column grid that I make, should be visible on both of them. Okay, back to create guides. And preview is on. So now I can start making rows. And as you can see, it's fairly easy to make rows. Also, I can say if the guides will fit to the margins or if they fit to the page. Well, that's again completely up to the designer. how they want to do it. If they want the like images, for instance, to go as a rule over the page, then it would be best to set the guides to the page. If you want to actually use the margins, then you fit the guides to the margins. And now it's making like symmetrical grid, but I can change this later on. Okay, let's see if 4 columns would be good. If I make this too tight, or well, not tight is maybe the wrong word. If I make too many modules in my grid, then it kind of loses its purpose. Then if everything is too small, then chaos reigns. If there's just one big module here, then again symmetry wins. And remember, you should be friends with both symmetry and chaos. That's where good design comes from. Okay, so now I have 4 and 4, but it's not a rule that I should have this number. So you can use any other number yourself. And now if I want to make this more like asymmetrical, I could just delete some of these guides. I can just, or I can edit them and put them over here wherever I want. So I could just delete this one, and hey presto, I have an asymmetric page design now. Or I could follow some like symmetry rule and make the spread symmetrical, but not quite as regular as it was earlier. So now these 2 guides are missing from here. So this could be a fun way to experiment. And the way you experiment with it is that you create blocks that represent images and that represent text before you put the actual stuff into it. So you make kind of some thumbnails out of it. Now when I double click here on one of the pages, I can see that the all the grid is over there and I can see it, which is nice. Then there's different view options, which I can get either from here or here. By the way, the overprint preview is a good idea to have always on. It will make any photos that you import or any graphics look better. So overprint preview, insider tip, you always use it unless you want to have your graphics look like shit on the screen. When you print them out, then they look good again. But yeah, I like them to look good when I'm looking at them. Okay, so we have the different screen modes. So view options, I can get here so that I can either see the frame edges or not, or the guides and so on. I usually take the frame edges away. Okay, what else? So I could now start, for instance, using the rectangle tool or maybe the rectangle frame tool, just to make some frames, testing out how this grid layout would look like. Would it look good if I had always an image over here, for instance? Or not? Oh, by the way, if you have spreads, it's not a good idea to put well, you can put an image like this all over the like spread, but see to it that it doesn't have like a big, like for instance, a person's face in the middle. So surprisingly many people, or at least students, do this mistake because they don't think about the like folding of the page. So now I could have all of these, or I could just try out, see how it would work if I had all my images over here or all my images over there. Like which elements would work where, basically. Or what are the rules that I want to establish for this document, basically. And by the way, if I want to change the colors or make more of them, I just use X for putting the fill color first, double click over there, and then change the color. Okay, there's the HSB. Often people use just grayish colors to mark the places of where images could go. So this is like a sketch, basically. And if you have used Illustrator, then it will be easy to duplicate stuff. You just click on the Alt and draw out stuff. So here, for instance, I could have a rule that all the images would be on these sides of the document. And now, because they snap to the grid, it's easy to put things in place. So let's make some body text here and see how that fits. So I have the text tool and I'll create a text frame. And then I can just go to type, and where's the insert? No. Fill with placeholder text. There it is. Like I get this lorem ipsum stuff, this Latin thing. And there we go. And let's see, from character. Yes, I was right. It gave me Minion Pro. So first of all, I want to change the Minion Pro to something else. And because I'm now on my own, I have on my work laptop, I have some typefaces that I have downloaded from the Adobe website. They show as this cloud thing, or cloud symbol that I have downloaded them from the cloud, basically. Okay, let's take Baskerville and Bodoni. That's always a good choice. Bodoni is one of the old designers of type, I mean. And in typography things change very slowly. So if we are talking about modern designers, then it starts from the 1700s. And the older designers are before the 1700s. And Bodoni was one of the older ones. Okay, but let's have, and of course you can take any any typeface, any font you like. That's kind of the point here. And then, yeah, I wanted to give a couple of more pro tips here. When you have selected the character, the typeface that you like, then don't keep it in metrics, put it on optical, like the spacing of the kerning of the letters, or the tiny spacing. So optical usually looks better. It's a tiny difference, but it's a bit more legible then. So instead of metrics, put optical. And there are other things that you can adjust here, including the leading. Then there's the language. So if the language is indeed English, then keep it so. If it's Finnish, then put it in Finnish or whatever language you're using. And then there's also the possibility, regretfully, to scale it vertically or horizontally. So the way you can find these options here there's the hide options and show options button here. So with show options, you can see all the options, just like in Illustrator. Didn't mention that before, but now I'm saying it. Okay, so about the scaling of the letters, don't do it. Please don't do it. Some typographer somewhere or some letter designer has already designed the letters in this shape. So if you're changing the shape, why do it? Why change something that already works? Then we have the tracking, which means again the spaces between the letters, and you can change those actually quite a bit before the reader notices anything, and that's one of the tools the typographer can use to make things fit better. Okay, so now I can just make the box bigger and maybe copy some of the text to see if it looks good. Oh, and how to continue text that is already in a box. I think that's something quite important. So let's make, so now I have text that doesn't all fit in the box. I can see it by clicking, now I'm inside the text, I click ESC, so I get again to my selection tool. Just like in Illustrator, we have two selection tools, the white arrow and the black arrow, by the way. If you want to make vector shapes where you put text inside, or you want to protect some of your images with the vector shapes, that's what it's for. Anyway, now I can see that there's a small plus sign. Let's go a little bit closer. and it stays small. Anyway, there's a small red plus sign here showing that, okay, there's text that is not all here in the box, and that's fine because I do want the text to continue over here. So how to do that? So first I need to create another text box. And by the way, I may want to use the same settings, the same style for that text box as this one. So I'll quickly go to paragraph styles and create a new style by clicking plus. Okay, now it's paragraph style 1. And I hope that worked. Now I'm ready to create a new text box there with the type tool. And let's put it over here. And I'll make that one a little bit smaller. And I'll click paragraph style 1 there already. Now I click ESC and click on here on the red plus sign. And now you can see that my cursor is loaded with text. And I can go anywhere. I could theoretically also go into these like boxes that I created earlier, and you can see that the cursor becomes like this chain. But now now it flows nicely into the text box that I created in the same style. I can also create character styles, not just paragraph styles. Anyway, there are things to do with this paragraph style still. For instance, I don't have any hyphenation there. I have no idea how hyphenation goes in Latin, and I don't need to know because I'm not going to set a lot of text in Latin, I guess. But anyway, that's how it goes with the continuing the text in other box. And now that they are continued, I could just adjust this box, make it smaller, and the text would automatically flow between the boxes. So if I wanted to make these the same length, for instance, or maybe continue it elsewhere again. Okay, yeah, the hyphenation thing, and also how to do the how to justify, like fully justify. Like right now, it's justified from the left, and it has a ragged edge or flush edge, right edge. That's two ways of saying the same thing. Ragged edge or flush edge. So if I wanted to fully justify it, how would I go about it? Well, first I need to go to paragraph here, and everything is gray, so I guess I need to double click and Control A. And now it's giving me the settings over here, and here I get the like full justification or right edge justification or centering. So okay, let's see what this does. Right, doesn't look bad, but I think with Latin it works quite fine. Anyway, now it is hyphenating. That you find the hyphenation of in Finnish tavutus here under paragraph. So if it wouldn't be hyphenating, then it it would make some more, well, you can see it creating rivers here already and lakes. Also, I think this is kind of a widow or orphan line here. It shouldn't be there. I should adjust that. But okay, I'll click on hyphenate. It hyphenates things now with English. I'm not even sure if InDesign has Latin hyphenation. But now where to find those hidden settings that I mentioned earlier. So they are over here in paragraph. You click on this button, and here you find justification options and hyphenation options. Let's go first to the hyphenation options. So here you can say how long the words are that you want to hyphenate. So words with at least 5 letters. In Finnish, that's quite a short word. Like, I would not hyphenate a word with 5 letters. For me, it's too short. It looks silly. So with Finnish, I would set this to 6 letters at least. Then the question is, do you have a hyphen already after the first 2 letters or not? That's up to you to decide. Does it look good or does it look stupid? Or before the last 2 letters, I would not do it. Let's make it 3, 2. Then there's, do we want better spacing of your hyphens? Now it's in the middle. I think we always want better spacing. Does it hyphenate capitalized words? Okay, let's have that. Don't hyphenate the last word. That's a good way of making those orphans and widows. Looks horrible. Also, don't hyphenate across column. That also usually looks silly. Okay. Then, next stop, justification settings. Here we go. So now there's first the word spacing, then the letters spacing, then the glyph scaling. I warned you earlier about like don't ever scale glyphs, but now I'm going to do it myself. Horrible me. So, but I'm going to do it like very sparingly, just when it's needed, like glyph scaling, like minimum 97% and maximum maybe 105. If there are really troublesome rivers and stuff, then this is a nice way of doing it. Then there's letter spacing. Yes, I want to do letter spacing, and I also wanted to go a little bit tighter in the letter spacing if needed. So I put here a minus 15%. That might be a little bit too much, but let's see. But the desired is still 0, and the maximum would be, let's say, 10%. Or maybe 8. Yeah. So again, there are no specific rules. There's also depends on the typeface and the font that you have chosen, what looks good. And here I want to put the word spacing, the maximum, to smaller than 133, because that is not good. So maybe 110. Desired is always 100, and minimum, yes, the words can be closer to each other by all means, but not too far away. And single word justification, yeah.
Where did you find the justification?
I'll show it. So I'm here in the paragraph settings, and the text is selected right now, and I click here on this tiny little button. And so there were the hyphenation settings and also the justification settings. And after I have done this, I can also create or update this paragraph style. And yeah, now it should work. And if it doesn't, then I have to change the settings.
Can you again show me the things?
Yeah, although they are not like the word of God, but I changed the word spacing maximum from 133 to 110. So that should do away with the most glaring errors of the ponds and rivers. And then I changed the letter spacing so that it will space a little bit the letters. And I put a tiny bit of glyph scaling, not much. Okay, I think that's the IT help service. No, that's my mother. Okay, sorry, I can't talk right now. I'll go later. Okay, so now you should have like all the basic information for your task, although I didn't show you how to import any images, so maybe I should do that. So I'll take the other. I'm not sure if there are any images. Well, there are, because this is my computer, of course there are. Okay, so file and place. That's how you import stuff. You can basically also have audio here, but in effect it doesn't work quite well. So if you want to have like a presentation with audio and video and stuff, don't use InDesign, use Canva or Google, but not InDesign. It's not made for that. Okay, documents, pictures. Okay, let's have this one. Oh no, that has. Okay, now I have. Where is it? I should have loaded my. Okay, export, import place, and then. Yeah, and open. And don't replace this selected item. I always do this mistake. And now I can move this image around. I'm actually not sure if I have changed the resolution or not for this one. I think I have. If you haven't changed the resolution and it's like something like 72 dpi, then it might blow up in on your InDesign. Then there's a peculiar thing that when you're working on a Mac on Adobe programs and you change the DPI and export it as a JPEG, then you can import it into InDesign quite well, and the DPI number stays the way you did it. But if you're using a Windows, if you're using the same program, Adobe, Photoshop or Illustrator on Windows, and you change the resolution in Photoshop, then you have to save it in Photoshop in PSD format and import it in as PSD format into InDesign in order to have the resolution there. Otherwise, it won't save the resolution. I don't know why it's like this, why Adobe works differently on Windows and Macs, but that's how it goes. Now you know it. Hard-learned lessons. And yeah, basic stuff. Don't try to make a picture bigger while you're in InDesign. You can make it smaller, yes, but if it's bigger, then the resolution will go to hell, basically, and then you're in big trouble if you have to print it. So never resize a picture upwards. Yeah. Oh, and resizing images is a little bit of a weird thing in InDesign. I think I should show that too, because InDesign always has two things in an image. There is the frame, and then there's the image itself. So I'll show you how it works. So if I just do this, now you can see that it's thinking that, okay, here's the frame, and I'm now reframing a picture. And that's okay if I know what I'm doing. And by the way, it's a vector thing, so I could basically also change it into like to have the edges like something else than straight. But anyway, let's go back to where I started from here. If I want to like resize the image, maybe make it smaller. So I'll grab this and press Shift. Then this happens. So I have to go here. Either I need to click Auto Fit, or then I need to click here like Fit Content to Frame. So again, these tiny little buttons over here, or I can click Content Aware Fit. So this is what you have to understand about images, how InDesign handles them. There's always a frame around the image. So, but now that I have the grid, I can see how it goes with the grid. And if I have a rule that all the text is over here, then I can just avoid these places. Or I could have like captions of the images go in a small box over here. And remember that you can have text inside boxes. You can have also textures there to give some rhythm to your page, but always be careful that your text is not set on something really noisy that it can't be read. Then you should be fine. Yeah, and exporting stuff. You go to export, surprisingly. Then you give it a name, and see where it goes. Don't put it just anywhere. Save, and then it gives, if you have, okay, here you have the formats, PDF print, PDF interactive, then there's the EPUB formats. So yes, you can make ebooks directly from InDesign. You can even make JPEGs, you see, and HTMLs, but I would not make any like website designs over in InDesign. That's the wrong place for it. Anyway, PDF print, save, and then I get the options. This little window, or not little actually. And now here the range is quite important. So if I wanted to have these two spreads, like it was in the task, so then I would write range 2 to 5. And then I can also say if it exports as pages or spreads. In this case, I'd like to have the spreads. So, and yes, I want to embed the page thumbnails. Thank you very much. What else? Compression. Yes, this is important. If you notice that your file is like really big, not this file, but some other file where you have lots of images, then you can change the compression. I think the default one is the maximum. I have already set it to a little bit lower, but the images usually stay fine even if you put compression as medium. So you can really make your document smaller this way. So downsampling to all the images that are at least 300 dpi. Marks and bleeds. Yes, use the bleed settings. You don't, for a digital document, you don't need to put any printer's marks there. But of course, if you have something that goes to the printer, or if you just want to print it over here and then cut it into a certain size, then the marks will help you when you're cutting it. And yeah, I think that's it. Then I could export it. But I'm not going to do it because this is just a test thing. So it wouldn't make any sense. Okay, any questions before I let you start on the task, if you haven't done so already? I mean, you'll get all the million questions right away when I step out.
I actually have a question. I downloaded a picture that I thought was good quality, but when I brought it to this program, it was like very small, and I couldn't make it bigger. So,
did you try doing it in Photoshop?
No. So I
did you
bring the picture in Photoshop and then save it?
Yes, like we did in the first lessons.
Okay, that part I probably skipped.
Okay. So just to remind you that when you go to, let's say, search for a picture of an elephant. I don't know why I came up with an elephant. Maybe okay, let's have Yersinia pestis, because that's up to the task, the pest bacterium. So if I have image search, sorry for this for being finished, then I click on tools and I can find here the size. So I want to have big images. And now it's showing me only like the bigger ones. And I can also click here and check that, okay, this is, yes, actually big in pixels, 2,300 by 200 and 2,200. So yes, this is good. So I need to have some sort of knowledge of how the pixel size works. So if it's 300 dpi, then yeah, it should, this size of a picture should work fine and not become like really small. It was like, if it was like 72 times 100 pixels, then as a printed image, it would be tiny. So here, save image as and then I would take it to Photoshop and change the resolution. And as I'm now using Windows, I would have to import that image into InDesign as PSD format. So probably if I had layers in that image, I would save one version of it in PSD without the layers. Like I would compress all the layers into one. Yeah. So that's it. That's how you do it. Okay, other questions? That was a good one. Yep. So let's say, oh, where's my text today? Okay, I think I accidentally destroyed my text. So, okay, let's make it again. I'll make 2 text boxes. So that's quite important that you create the text boxes first. And for some reason, it's not letting me make text boxes. Why is that? Come on. Okay, let's put them here this time. And I'll click ESC in order to adjust it. And then I let the placeholder text flow in. I go to paragraph styles and click paragraph style 1. And it remembers. But I don't think I updated all the settings, regretfully. But here you have I have the little red plus sign, so I need to create another text box where my text can flow. For instance, here. And again, I'll adjust it into the right size. Click yes. Okay, now I'll click the little red plus sign here, and now my cursor is filled with text, and I go to the text box that I already created earlier, click inside, and there it flows. Well, there was not much of it. But now I can change the size of this box, and they will flow together, as you can see. Yay! Okay. So when I'll stop the recording now.